Welcome to This Week in East Brunswick. This week, Mike Opaleski, Director of Public Works and Water Resources, tells how the township has been dealing with the severe weather. We'll also have excerpts from a Board of Education forum to discuss the 1994 school bond referendum. Kathleen Enns and Patty Sullivan from the Township Office on Aging provide information about an adult daycare program at the Senior Center. Dolly Vasta and Mike Mansfield return to the Paterson Bird Shop for a look at some of the larger parrots. All of this and more is coming up, but first on Channel 8 next week. Tune in to Look Great, Feel Great to learn how to use your muscles. That's at 10 a.m. on Monday. Stories about the circus are read to preschoolers by librarian Chris Lott at 10:30. Monday morning at 11:30, tune in for a special recast of the school board forum outlining the 1994 school bond referendum. On Tuesday evening, EB18 will be shown at 7 o'clock, and at 7:30, Phil Hill talks with Home News sports writer Brian Vanderbeek on Sports Talk. Wednesday, enjoy the gospel sounds of the Lumsey Sisters on For Art's Sake at 7:30, and the sights of East Jersey Old Town on the Arts at 8 o'clock. This Week in East Brunswick returns Thursday night at 7 and 8. And on Aging Aspects at 7:30, Patty Sullivan talks to members of the organization Choice in Dying. Check the Channel 8 bulletin board for weather-related emergency announcements this winter and for the schedule of high school sporting events. Repeated ice storms and record-breaking Arctic temperatures have resulted in the closing of federal offices in Washington, D.C., and in the closing of schools in East Brunswick. Meetings have been canceled, roads and buildings closed, and emergencies declared during the last 2 weeks of brutally cold weather. To date, more deaths have been attributed to this freeze than to the L.A. earthquake. In East Brunswick, Township Councilman Tony Riccobono asked Mike Opaleski, Director of Public Works and Water Resources, to explain what his department has been up against.
Well, one of our problems is that this is the 9th storm since the 1st of January, and we're trying to combat an ice condition. The icing conditions that are occurring are just playing havoc on our equipment, on salt and sand supplies, and our people. We're running people 16 hours a day, and we're just running out of people and equipment at the present time.
What are the problems specific to the ice storms that we've had?
Well, with the ice, once we get the ice starting to occur, we probably put our trucks out. Since it is not a plowing storm where you can move it off the road, the ice is starting to form as it hits the pavement. So if we're not out there with a sand and a salting operation, the ice gets ahead of us. That has happened the second week of January. We're again into a similar occurrence that happened on Martin Luther King's birthday. We're getting an ice built up. We were out there with the sand and the salt. But it's just not working at the present time due to temperatures.
What is it about the temperatures that, prohibits it from working? Why isn't the salt working now?
Well, what happens is when you get the sub-freezing temperatures and it stays cold and you get the salt put down, it does not work just because it's just too cold and you're not getting the traffic patterns. We have tried a liquid calcium to activate the salt to make the salt work faster. It's called a wetting condition. Even with that and the sub-freezing temperatures, we're still not getting the salt to work. We have ample supply of sand and salt. We're putting it on the roads. If you go out on some of the roads, you'll see layers of sand and salt in between the ice. So we know it's there. Our problem right now is that if we get a good melt, we're going to have a lot of sand and salt being laid on the road, and you're going to see a lot of whiting conditions or a lot of die-off of some vegetation along the road. We've been out there on a 24-hour basis since the 3rd of January, and that's a problem. As you can see in the background, we have some of our equipment in the shop right now, and that's starting to be a problem because we've been running it 24 hours a day.
So what's happening to it now?
Well, the 2 trucks you have right in back of us are froze up. The brakes are froze, the whole undercarriages are froze. They're in the garage trying to be thawed out. With minus 4 degrees as of this morning, they just froze on the road, and we had to tow them in. We have 14 sanders and plow trucks, or sanders. Out of the 14, 8 of them froze up on us. So we have 6 on the road, the 2 that are being thawed out. We have a couple others in another garage trying to thaw them out so we can get them back on the road tonight.
How about your people? How are they holding up?
Well, we're starting due to the length of work day. We're working them 8 hours a day plus 8 hours overtime, and under contract, we can only work them 16 hours on a total shift. We're running out of people right now. We have brought our contractors in where we have some contractors on staff that we bring in for snow plowing. They're not equipped to do ice storms, so we're letting some of those contractors utilize our trucks for the sanding operation, and until we get a break in the weather, that's what we're going to have to keep doing.
What's the message you want to get out to the residents of East Brunswick now?
Well, the message we're trying to get out is that we're out there doing the work that has to be done, but due to the sub-freezing temperatures and the continuing ice storms that are occurring, it looks like we're not there. What we're asking for is a little bit of patience. Please call our department if you have an emergency. If you have a true emergency, we ask you to call the police department. If there is an emergency, we will dispatch our equipment under guidance from the police department, and we will take care of any emergency that occurs. But please have patience. That's what we're looking for.
Do you have any recommendations for residents?
Well, the best thing I could tell them is to stay off the road under the icing conditions until we get a little bit of thaw and we can get a little bit of better traction. If they're out on any of the roads, some of the roads are still closed down. Our understanding as of this morning, the 19th, their Cranberry Road overpass is still shut down because the state has not responded, or either has the county. So that not only are the local roads, secondary roads as they're called, bad, but some of the primary roads. So the best thing you can do if you don't have to go out, just don't.
On Sunday night, the East Brunswick Board of Education appeared on Channel 8 in a live forum entitled Where I Stand on the 1994 bond referendum. Sponsored by the Township Council as a result of a request by minority vote school board members, the forum was quickly organized to allow all board members the opportunity to present their views on the referendum. The referendum, which is up for a community-wide vote on January 25th, if passed, would allow the school board to spend $8.9 million on improvements to school buildings to move the 9th grade class from Churchill Junior High School to the high school. 6 members of the school board support the referendum and 3 oppose it. One opponent, Russell Walker, approached Channel 8 for equal time because a Spotlight on Education program on Channel 8 advocated the proposal. Library Director Sharon Karmazin offered the forum where all views could be represented. At the library Sunday night, 7 members of the school board appeared. Absent due to health problems was opponent member Russell Walker. Also absent was referendum supporter Norman Teicher. Those who attended presented opening and closing remarks and answered questions from a panel of press reporters. Reporters Michelle de Blasi from the Home News, Darren Smith of the Sentinel, and Tim Wacker of the News Tribune questioned board members on specifics and details of the referendum.
Everything that I've learned has totally convinced me that a 4-year high school is definitely the way to go. I now ask you to carefully consider the facts, and when you do, I'm sure that you'll reach the same conclusion. As I said in my opening remarks, high school consists of 4 academic years, grades 9 through 12, regardless of where those grades are housed. High school diplomas are issued based upon 4 years of work, college acceptances are based upon 4 years of work, trade and business school acceptances are based upon 4 years of work. Everything is based upon 4 academic years. It only makes sense that those 4 years of work should be in the same facility. Every school district in New Jersey has a 4-year high school facility except for 9. And East Brunswick is one of those 9. Even Jersey City, where Dr. Prislip is a principal and former superintendent, has a large 4-year high school, and I'm not aware of any actions taken by Dr. Prislip in Jersey City to change it to 3 years. There's no doubt in my mind that East Brunswick has an excellent high school, but we must be careful not to become complacent and rest on our laurels.
Ad hominem attacks on individual board members who disagree with the majority is a tactic used to obfuscate the essential issues on a $9 million referendum. The citizens of East Brunswick have a right to know all the facts, and they must be able to discern the differences between outdated and outmoded educational sloganeering with that of objective empirical data. To this extent, we offer the public the following facts. 1, educational research has made it abundantly clear that smaller high schools are better. You have less absenteeism, less truancy, higher standardized test scores, lower dropout rates, and higher percentage of our kids going to better colleges and universities. That's what the research indicates, and it's very, very clear. 2, it is clear that the projected enrollments in the next 5 years will increase at a moderate rate, a very moderate rate.
Fact one is that Hammarskjöld and Churchill are currently overcrowded. Our elementary enrollments are increasing, class sizes are increasing, and our high school is near capacity. If we move the 9th graders up to the high school, we're going to alleviate all of these problems. The enrollments at Hammarskjöld and Churchill will go from over 1,000 to under 800. We won't need the walkway anymore, and Smith School will be freed up to be used as an elementary school. There's been no secret about this referendum. The plan was passed by the Board of Education in February of 1991. We've had several meetings over the years. We've discussed it. We've had reports. We've had the architects come in. People do know about the plan. We've made mention of it time and time again. It was said that there would be staff increases in order to accommodate the 9th graders at the high school. That's simply not true. The 9th grade teachers would follow the students to the building. There will be no additional staff costs associated with this plan.
Moving the 9th grade to the high school will make it possible to have grades 6 through 8 at both Hammarskjöld and Churchill. This will lead to a tremendous reduction in transportation costs of nearly $400,000, since students will not have to be bused from one side of town to the other, as is now necessary for all students, either when they're in grades 6 and 7 at Hammarskjöld or in grades 8 and 9 at Churchill. In addition, as has been mentioned before, the enrollment in both schools will decrease from about 1,100 students currently in each to about 800 in each. If the high school is not expanded and the current grade structure is maintained, additions will have to be built at both Hammarskjöld and Churchill. This would cost about the same. I repeat that. It would cost about the same as expanding the high school and would be far less educationally sound. From the standpoint of both educational programming and the ability of students to make the transition from elementary to secondary school, it is far better to have a high school with 2,300 students in grades 9 through 12 than a middle school with 1,100 6th and 7th graders and a junior high with 1,100 8th and 9th graders.
If this referendum is passed, this is what will happen. The present 7th, 8th, and 9th graders' education will be disrupted during their stay at the high school while major construction takes place both inside and outside the building. At the time of transition, estimated to be September 1997, the Churchill-Smith complex will move to the high school and student population will increase to 2,300, which is far in excess of today's philosophy in education, which states that smaller, more manageable schools are better. When the 9th graders move to the high school, they will have one less instructional period. So how can they take advantage of all the electives? The 6th and 7th graders at Hammarskjöld will be split, and half will be redistricted to Churchill. The 5th graders at the 8 elementary schools will be divided between Churchill and Hammarskjöld. In order to activate Smith School as an elementary school, a township-wide redistricting of the other 8 elementary schools will have to take place.
Some people say, why fix the East Brunswick school system if it's working so well and if it's winning such honors? I say that we must continue to make investments in new construction and in providing other new educational initiatives, or we'll surely see the excellence of our district dissipate in time. Must we wait until there's real deterioration before we move ahead? Do you really want your child to be educated in East Brunswick during a period of decline? Should we wait until we finally recognize the fact that things are bad in the district, that there is incredible overcrowding, more so than it is today? We have to act. We have to constantly reevaluate our program to make it better. Every organization in this country, businesses, private institutions, colleges, all go through these kinds of periods of reevaluation.
It's fact, not opinion, that our junior high school population does not fit in our junior high school. It is fact, not opinion, that these students are walking back and forth across an outdoor walkway 2 to 3 times a day. That's a fact. That's not opinion. It's a fact that if we pass this plan, we will reduce busing throughout the town. It is a fact that if we pass this plan, our students can go through our K through 12 district by attending 3 schools instead of 4. It is a fact that no new staff will be required when we adopt this plan. It is fiction, not just opinion, opinion that new staff would be required. It is fiction, not just opinion, that additional money would be needed for road work or site work. That money is included in the bond referendum. It is fact that there are 31 high schools in 1993 that received their Blue Ribbon Award just like ours. All 31 of those had enrollments over 2,000 in their 9 through 12 districts.
The forum will be recast on Channel 8 on Saturday, January 22nd at 1 o'clock, and Monday, January 24th at 11:30 a.m. Remember to vote on Tuesday, January 25th at your regular polling place in town.
Hi, I'm Dolly Vassar for This Week in East Brunswick, and we're back at the Paterson Bird Shop in East Brunswick. And again, I'm with Mike Mansfield and with Doug Shorp. And we're going to be talking about parrots today and the parrot family. And what you see here is an example of just some of the birds that are here at this shop. Mike, why don't you lead off with the first round of questions for Doug?
These parrots are all beautiful, and we love looking at them, but I've been led to believe that some of these birds live forever, longer than their owners will live. Is that true?
That's true, Mike. There's been some documented cases of parrots living in captivity for 100 years. Parrots have been part of man's culture for thousands of years. Man has kept parrots for years and years and years, and there has been some cases that, undocumented cases, that the parrots lived to be 100 years. We know, in fact, that most of the parrots can definitely live to be about 70 years old. A parrot like this is called the scarlet macaw. A bird like this should easily reach 60 or 70 years old. That also depends greatly on the care that they're provided. But yeah, they're very long-lived animals, and it's a very long-term commitment, and somebody should really think seriously whether they want to buy a pet like this.
What about some of these other birds? In fact, the one who is ad-libbing over here on the branch.
Okay. These are all members of the parrot family again, and what I've kind of done here, I brought out parrots that originated from various parts of the world. The scarlet macaw is from South America. The species originates in South America. Now, these two beauties right here are from the South Pacific region of the world, Solomon Islands, north of the continent of Australia. This guy's getting into my camera here, trying to steal the show from me.
You know what they say. Anything for a laugh.
Okay, this is a male eclectus parrot. Now, as you can see, the colors are very beautiful. And what's interesting about the eclectus parrot is that the male and female are very different. In the parrot family, most parrots, the male and female, look very similar. As you can see here, the male is very green. And if you look underneath his wing, if I can get him to lift his wing up there, he's just nibbling there. He's very beautiful. I mean, he's got a beautiful red, and his wings are really pretty. So this is a male eclectus parrot.
He is gorgeous.
Yeah, he's about 11 weeks old now. Still very young, but you can see they grow very quickly, and their feathers come in really brightly. Now here is the female eclectus. Now she is very young. She's about 8 weeks old now at this point. She's a little unsteady on her feet yet, but you can see her color. She's got beautiful red and purple. Just stunning, stunning birds. They make really great pets with the proper care. They're just wonderful. So I'll put her back on there.
She almost has the coloring of a pheasant.
It's unbelievable. Birds have such varied colors because their surroundings are so colorful. Where they're from are from the tropical regions of the world, and there's so many colors where they live. They kind of like developed into their surroundings and have beautiful feathering also, beautiful coloring. Next I want to show you a guy that's doesn't have such beautiful feathering, but is really known as one of the best talkers of the parrot family. This is an African gray parrot. Now they originate from the continent of Africa, mainly Central Africa where the rainforests are. Known for their talking ability. Yeah, she's okay. Probably the most studied parrot as far as intelligence-wise is the parrot, African gray parrot called Alex, that they've done extensive studies on to try to find out exactly how smart birds really are, because they are able to communicate with us. And they found some pretty stunning facts on the intelligence of birds and how smart they really are. So this African parrot, I just want to stress that all these birds here are not taken from the wild. They're all captive bred in the United States. It's very important that we conserve our natural resources, and animals being one of our most important natural resources. These birds are all captive bred in the United States, raised by professional breeders who take the utmost care in raising their birds and preserving the species in the wild also.
Mike, do you want to, you have that look on your face. Do you want to say something?
I just wanted to brag a little bit about my African gray, that when the phone rings, he knows how to say, he says hello when you pick it up. He also knows the beep sound of my son's alarm system on his car and knows how to make that beep noise every morning at the same time my boy goes in the car. He's a lot of fun. My parrot's a lot of fun. But one of the reasons I asked the question on age is because I've been led to believe I might die before my bird does. And I guess some people do actually leave their birds in wills to new owners.
Mike, your bird isn't really that bright. If your bird were really that bright, when he answered the phone, he'd say, control officer, animal control officer. Anyway, I think that kind of about wraps it up, but they are just the most exquisite things I've seen, and we have had such a good time here. All of us have. We've been petting and talking away. So to all of you, again, come down to the bird shop here and take a look. I'll see you all. Take care.
Hi, I'm Patty Sullivan for This Week in East Brunswick. I'm interviewing Kathleen Enns, the new director for the Day Care Center for East Brunswick.
Hi, Kathleen.
Hi, Patty.
Why don't you tell our audience what an adult daycare center is?
Okay. Well, an adult daycare center is a structured program for the frail elderly. And by frail elderly, what I'm referring to are people that are 60 or older that due to a mental or a physical impairment need assistance or supervision that they could not safely receive from a senior citizen center.
Why did you choose a Saturday?
The reason for that, there's really a few reasons. One is because the center where the program is going to be housed is going to be in the East Brunswick Senior Citizen Center, and that is being utilized during the week by our regular senior citizen program, so it wouldn't be available for the week. The other reason is because there are adult daycare programs in the community, in the neighboring communities, but there does not seem to be anything available on the weekends. And for many people, the weekend is when they really need some assistance because they are going to get their chores done that they haven't been able to do during the week when they're working. You know, or to go grocery shopping, to visit friends, that kind of a thing. And they're really not able to do that when they need to provide supervision or care for an older person.
Kathy, who's eligible for this program?
Okay, well, they would need to be 60 or older, be a resident of Middlesex County, and again, have a physical or a cognitive impairment which causes them to need supervision and assistance so that they're not able to utilize a senior citizen center during the week.
Can you give me a quick description of what you mean by physical impairment?
Okay, well, that would be somebody because of perhaps have had a stroke, and they would need to have some assistance in perhaps just getting around the center, getting to and from the bathroom. That because of a senior citizen center with the client-staff ratio, they're just not capable of providing that kind of assistance. One thing that I do need to mention, however, is that because we would not be a medical facility, we would not be able to provide any kind of heavy lifting. For instance, if someone was in a wheelchair and they could not transfer themselves to the toilet, we would not be able to provide that kind of lifting, nor would we be able to help someone who was incontinent because of the kind of care that we would have at the facility. However, if somebody has memory problems and they need to be reminded to go to the bathroom, or they need to be directed to the bathroom or what to do when they get there, that would be something we would be able to help them with.
Okay, that's good. Now, what about the application and the cost involved?
Okay. Well, if someone was interested in the program, what they would do, they would contact me at the Senior Citizen Center during the week, and we would set up an appointment for them to come in to fill out an application, and I would be able to give them a little bit more information regarding the program. I would also need to do an assessment just to make sure that they were appropriate for the program. and we would require them to have a doctor's evaluation completed before entering the program. As far as cost is concerned, it is a fee for service, and we are looking at $30 a Saturday, which would be 6 hours in duration. Although the price is reasonable for what the program would provide because it would be a structured program, we do realize that for many frail elderly people, because of their limited income as well as their other care needs, that this could be a difficulty for them to meet. So we are looking at funding sources in order to be able to alleviate some of the cost.
And I guess the last question is, where will this program be housed, and what about your staff? You had mentioned that earlier.
Okay. Well, it will be in the East Brunswick Senior Citizen Center next to the library. And as far as staffing is concerned, we will have at least 5 staff members on at all times. It will be myself, an activities assistant, 2 aides, and a custodian. We also are looking to hopefully have a graduate student as well as some volunteers from the community.
Wow. If any of you out there would like more information, please contact Kathleen Enns at the East Brunswick Senior Citizen Center at 390-6809. This is Patty Sullivan saying goodbye for This Week in East Brunswick.